Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 2 of our course. It was great meeting you all in week 1, and this week we're going to dive into our content. Our topic for the week is going to be what is disciplinary literacy? So, today what we're going to do is just look at an overview of the module as a whole. So, our agenda for this presentation is to discuss the purpose of this module, the texts that you're going to explore, the assignment that you're going to submit, and then how it all sort of ties together and connects to what we'll be doing in the course as a whole. So, the purpose of this module is to really set a foundation for the rest of the course. And after completing the learning activities and assignments, you should be able to recognize the meaning and importance of disciplinary literacies as opposed to just the concept of literacy in general and the concept of content area literacies. You should be able to identify and analyze the literacies in your own discipline and connect the literacies of your own discipline with the big questions that drive research, scholarship, and practice in your field. So, just a little bit of quick background knowledge. What do I mean by discipline? I don't mean that you are able to stick to something once you start, that you're a very hard worker, none of those sort of general definitions. All I mean is your subject area or your field. So you'll discover, especially in the readings for this week, that content area literacy and disciplinary literacy are kind of different approaches to this sort of topic that we'll be talking about this semester. But content area and discipline, those meanings are similar. So we're basically talking about what subject are you teaching, okay? So I just want that out there very early on. Also, I'd like to cover a few things of what disciplinary literacy is not, because these are just common misconceptions when we hear disciplinary literacy, or maybe when some of you saw that you had to enroll in this course and you thought, why am I having to take a disciplinary literacy course or a literacy course at all? We are not talking about every teacher teaching phonics. We are not talking about poetry lessons in math class. If that's your thing, awesome. If you're a math teacher who wants to bring in some poetry, please do. Um, but that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about writing persuasive essays in science. That's not the type of writing that we generally do in science. Although there may be a time and place for persuasive scientific essays. But what we're talking about is using the literacies that are actually genuine and authentic to your field or your discipline. So the texts that I'm going to ask you to explore this week include 3 videos and 3 articles. The videos include Jamila Lyscott's 3 Ways to Speak English. Professor Lyscott is an amazing scholar. I think you're going to love her. And this video provides a sort of practical example of using different literacies for different contexts. That's an important concept for our course. Not all literacies are equal in all contexts. And then we have Elizabeth Bermohe at AERA, and she provides a philosophical foundation and sort of ways forward for our field of disciplinary literacies. Then we have The Power of Literacy. This is a very brief video that sort of puts the philosophy of disciplinary literacies to work in an actual school. So I thought it was interesting just in terms of providing examples and imagining, okay, but what does this look like in real life? Then we have 3 articles that I'm going to ask you to read. The first one is Alverman's Literacy Instruction for Adolescents. So this article is very broad in terms of what is she talking about when she says literacy. So she's talking about literacy instruction, and she's not necessarily talking about disciplinary literacies yet, but a lot of what she says leads into what's important about disciplinary literacies. Then we have Shanahan, and they are writing about what is disciplinary literacy and why does it matter. So that title is pretty self-explanatory. That's kind of foundational for our course. These are big thinkers. All of these folks are big thinkers in our field and in our area. And the last article that I'm going to have you read is not even really an article. It's hundreds of essential questions um, in different areas that sort of drive the fields and the research that goes on in a discipline. So I want you to read this because a lot of what we do in disciplinary literacies is focus on how our fields are inquiry driven. Disciplinary literacy is about doing the work and thinking the thoughts that are important to our fields and to our disciplines. So if we start from a point of essential questions, what are our disciplines and what do they provide in terms of understanding the world, then we're going to be in a good place to start thinking about what are we doing here as teachers who are sharing our literacies with our students. The assignments for this week are pretty straightforward. You have an initial disciplinary literacy reflection. So, this reflection kind of asks you to think about what you know before you start reading. So, I really ask that you complete this assignment before you start doing the readings or watching the videos, thinking the thoughts, doing the reflections for this course. Please do this initial reflection first. And then we have our reading reflections, which will be a discussion board and the instructions for the prompts that I'd like you to respond to and the ways that I'd like you to respond to your peers will be included in the discussion board description. The assignments for this week are pretty straight. So, looking ahead to how this content in this week's module connects to the rest of our course and beyond, I hope for you, the essential questions that you're going to talk about and think about, reflect on this week may, I hope, help guide you to the focus for your Hallmark assessment task, your HAT for this course, which is a disciplinary literacy text set, which I hope will be very much inquiry driven and it's going to help you differentiate instruction for multiple students. You're also going to be identifying the literacies of importance in your field, and that's going to guide you in both the reading and writing guides that you're going to create later in the semester. Finally, you're going to understand the importance of engaging students in the authentic disciplinary work that we do in our own fields. And this is going to help you become one of those teachers that just pulls students in and is super enthusiastic and super excited to be sharing a field with your students. And we all, I'm sure all of us can remember a teacher who did this, and these were some of my favorite teachers, the ones who were just passionate about their subject, even if I didn't necessarily love their subject the most myself. I loved seeing that enthusiasm and feeling like I was being included in that world, and that's really at the heart of this course. So I hope that that is what you get out of this week and that those are the connections that you'll make, and I look forward to seeing your reflections.